Hey, welcome back everyone. Don here. So, Saturday. It's a beautiful day. It's going to maybe hit a record temperature-wise. We're supposed to be about 80 degrees today, which is pretty unusual for this time of year. It's towards the end of October, and as you can hear in the background, everybody in the neighborhood is out doing their leaves, and I've got to do the same thing. But I don't know how this video is going to come out as far as the audio goes. So as you can see behind me, I've built a roof over the back side of my shed so I can put my tractor in under cover, and of course it's perfectly plumb and everything is perfectly square, but it serves its purpose. It's going to keep my tractor sort of out of the weather, at least out of the direct sunlight and out of the direct, rain, snow, what have you. Now, I've only got 102 hours on this machine. I've had it for this January will be 2 years. So it hasn't taken long for the sun to really have an effect on the paint on the top side of the machine. Specifically on the loader arms, the hood and roof and all that don't seem to have deteriorated as much, but the loader arms for sure. But I wanted to talk about my Toro Timecutter and the bagging system that I purchased that comes along with it from Toro. So one of the advantages of the bagger is that this brace that the bagger mounts to actually is higher than the engine, or as high, and it helps to protect the engine even when the bagger's not on. This stays on, and if I ever back into anything, I won't bang the engine, He is such a handful. He is into everything. So it has a hitch on it. The hitch came with the bracket for the bagger, not the mower. I think there is a separate hitch you can get without the bagger. One of the reasons that I leaned more towards the Timecutter as opposed to a different machine is that the bagger on this machine comes off and on very easily, very quickly, and I needed that in order to get the machine to park inside the shed because the bagger would make it too wide. So once the initial install is done, the bagger is a breeze to pop on and off. The initial install includes front weights for counterbalance, and of course this bracket on the back that has to bolt on and all of that. But once that's on there, it stays in place and you never have to deal with it again. Although Toro does recommend, if you're not using the bagger, that you should take the weights off. You do it your way, I'll do it my way. I haven't taken those weights off with the bagger off. But to be fair, this is the time of year where I use the bagger mostly all the time. So I know some people have had concerns about this cutout and how the blades are sort of exposed when this cover is not down and in place. It seems like this cutout is the way it is to help the deck with the lift in blowing the material up the chute and into the bag. Other mowers had baggers that were actually powered. There was a unit that sat on the end here and with a separate pulley that attached to the first pulley that drives that first blade, and I didn't want all that. I'm sure it works great that way, but it wouldn't have been easy to take on and off. Certainly not as easy as this is, and I'll show you in a moment. But putting this bagger on and off takes a minute. It's awesome, and it actually works fairly well too. So this just pops on and off easy as could be. This pops into a hole on the anti-scalp wheel bracket, just like that. This comes around. This part goes, this bracket goes, this little hook goes underneath the rod that holds the plastic chute on, just like that. And that's it. There's a rubber grommet over here that I stretch and clip it into its position. And that's it. The rest is easy. These slide over This has got a kind of a dimple in it that goes in through this slot. So the bags connect with this piece right here, connects onto the brace that's mounted to the back of the machine, and they go on just like this. This rod would go in the middle, pin on, and then this rubber would hook onto it, but it's kind of tight. This rubber is pretty stiff, and I haven't had any trouble not using this. I just leave the bagger down, it stays closed, and it functions just like it would if this were there. So I haven't been using this. I haven't had any issues, at least not yet. And the final piece of this is the last piece of the chute, and that just slides in and then connects right there, and that's it. So one of the biggest draws for me on this was the bagger. It's a very, very quick transition between bagger on and bagger off. No tools required. It pops on and off, and in my case it has to come off in order for it to fit in the shed. So it works out pretty good for me, which really it was one of the reasons why I chose this machine. The only question I really had was, never having used this before, how good does it work? One of the downsides to this machine is that if you stop on the grass and leave the machine running, you end up with this. This is a burn mark, probably from the heat of the exhaust, but I did notice that if I leave it sitting long enough, you can see how this is a little bit burned over on that side too. If I leave it sitting long enough, I get 3 dead spots, and I think that's from the exhaust would be the one in the center, and then the one on each side would be the heat of the transmissions.